preseason games that we'll get into, as well as USA France in the men's gold medal for the men's basketball. But Scott Spreitzer joins us, as you heard the big boy Scott. How we doing today, Scott? What's Good Friday to you?
Doing well, guys. Just wait for the games to kick off, and even preseason football, it's tough to turn off the NFL. So looking forward to it.
I love it. All right, let's start with the birds of feather. We'll flock together as you got the Eagles and Ravens. Maybe an early preview of Super Bowl 59, which I'm hoping as an Eagles fan.
You rock.
But the Ravens, they had that streak of what? 24 or whatever it was consecutive victories. They don't like to lose, and Harbaugh's got a really good record against the spread in the preseason. So how you handicap this one?
Yeah, 24 straight wins in preseason games at one point, and they were 22-1-1 against the spread.
Jeez.
So every preseason, since like second game of 2016, I just bet blindly against the on the Baltimore Ravens, on the Baltimore Ravens throughout preseason football. And then last year we saw them now lose 4 straight preseason games against the spread. And what happened was, with that historic win streak, the books react. They started making you pay a premium with the Baltimore Ravens. And now, though, I really think there's been a bit of an overreaction the other way. I mean, you look at the Eagles, they're 1-6-2 in their last 9 preseason games under Sirianni, averaging less than 17 points per game. And then you got tonight's likely quarterback rotation, Tanner McKee, Kenny Pickett, Will Grier. They're not likely to play their stars from what I'm reading for more than a series, maybe not at all. I believe Baltimore's preseason quarterback rotation is better. You've got Josh Johnson, who's been around. You've got Devin Leary, the rookie out of Kentucky, who's going to get some chances. And when the teams met last year, guys, McKee was 10 for 20. Johnson was 8 for 12 in preseason action. And then you look at the line. Baltimore opened a 3-point favorite on August 1st. They're now a 2-point dog. Last preseason, when the majority handle came in on one team and the line moved at least 3 points, those teams only went 3-13 against the spread. So that would signal a potential play against Philly here. I could see Philly winning the first half. I think Sirianni has a little bit to prove this season, but I think the Ravens are going to win the game and get back to starting a new win streak for Harbaugh.
Did you say Josh Johnson, that the one that came in for Brock Purdy? The playoff, and he's been around for like 35 years, hasn't he?
I think he just filed for ARP, if I heard right. But it's funny because that's what I like. He's not been let's just call it the way it is. He's not been a good regular season quarterback when he has his chances. He did not look good for San Francisco. However, in preseason football, I like these guys. 8 of 12 in this matchup last year. I mean, Cleo Lemon was one of my favorite preseason football quarterbacks years ago. So I like these guys who have experience, knowledge of the game when it comes to preseason.
Boy, you'd have been all over my games, right? Manuch back there, backup quarterback preseason. I'd be shining in those preseason games there, Scott.
If I was betting preseason football back then, I would have been all over Manuch.
All right, let's look at the second game, the Packers at the Browns. Browns minus 3.5. How do you look at this preseason game?
Well, this one has shot up, guys, to 5.5 now, and Cleveland opened 3. You look at the Packers, and they've not really cared a whole lot about preseason results when it comes to the scoreboard. They've lost 7 in a row as a preseason underdog, 0-6-1 against the spread. And if you look at the way they've done on the road in general in preseason play, they've only covered 1 of the last 8. So what I've seen so far, both coaches have said their starters will play in this game with the exception of Deshaun Watson for Cleveland. And then I was listening a little bit to Matt LaFleur in a couple of his press conferences this week, and he has said that playing his starters in preseason last year, he thought helped accelerate, his words, their understanding and comfort level for the regular season. So he's going to play starters a bit, so will Cleveland. I believe the reason that the bettors have hit Cleveland in the sports books is due to the Browns' rotation behind center, because it goes Jameis Winston, Ty Huntley, and Dorian Thompson-Robinson, DTR. So I like preseason teams in the second half when they have those mobile, they can move quarterbacks, they can escape pressure when all else fails, and a lot fails in the second half of preseason games. I lean Cleveland, not crazy about that line move, though.
All right, Cardinals, Saints tomorrow night. Cards still minus 1.5?
Saints are now 1.5 and up to 2 in some books. And that just all changed in the last 90 minutes or so.
Okay.
It looks like we won't see any main starters for either team in this one, main starters. The Saints have a bunch of injuries, by the way, and they're of the bumps and bruises variety right now. I did read that they're down to 6 receivers for this game, so you're not going to see a high receiver rotation for the Saints. So we get Desmond Ridder and Clayton Tune battle, the battle for Arizona, and they'll have, I guess, it looks like they're going to have Marvin Harrison Jr. on the field, according to reports. I think they can get ahead early. You might see Derek Carr for the Saints the way they're talking. I don't know if we will. They need to get used to a new offensive coordinator in New Orleans. I'm going to pass this game, guys. I'm not the biggest Desmond Ridder fan in regular season play, but I like, again, that we have what we can now call an NFL vet with solid starting experience fighting for a backup spot.
Well, on top of that, with the Saints, I don't know if Hayner's going to start. We got Spreitzer Rattler, who's from the Valley here. He might get a lot of playing time. I believe Derek Carr is, as far as I know right now, he's not going to be playing, correct?
Yeah, I've heard both. I've heard a minor chance he plays, but like I was saying, I doubt we see him. And you just mentioned they've got a couple of guys they need to look at and give some, snaps to, including Rattler. And the only way I could see that Derek Carr even goes at all is if they really feel that they need to get him used to the offensive coordinator situation in New Orleans. But I don't know. Reading between the lines, I don't think he's going to go.
All right. Team USA and France.
Mañana.
Talk to us. And how did it all go down yesterday? We were on the air when it went down, and I lost my ass. I had -17. I had it -11. And then when it went to +4.5, +5, I jumped on it with a little play just so I could maybe win a few bucks. But that was a rough one for me yesterday. So what do you got for me tomorrow?
Well, the good thing is the positive is that one of us won. So
yeah.
I actually took all those points with Serbia on Thursday and got the best of both worlds.
Good.
Cashed the bet, which is the most important thing. But also we had Team USA advancing to the gold medal game, so got the best of both there. But my instincts, guys, my betting instincts say that this was a wake-up call for the Americans. My handicap makes it tough for me to back France for one key reason. The French have a weak backcourt, relatively speaking. One of my Olympic bets thus far was Dennis Schrader over 18.5 points against France, and he finished, I think it was with 24, easily going over because the backcourt for the French is not that great. The best thing that happened to France, guys, the last 2 games, they sat Rudy Gobert. They cut his playing time, and that allows Wembanyama to dominate on defense and become a factor too on offense, even when he's not shooting the ball. The tough issue for Wemby, he's only making 38% of his shots and like 28% of his threes, and he's looked gassed on offense thanks to everything he's done on defense. Now he's got to face Bam Adebayo, Anthony Davis, Joel Embiid. Are you kidding me? Serbia can shoot from anywhere in the arena, like we saw, on Thursday. France is not a quality shooting squad. I like Curry. He woke up against the Serbs. He goes up against a mediocre backcourt. I think USA got their wake-up call, guys, and I think they go in and win going away. And I like actually USA minus the points in the gold medal game.
I was going to say, we talked about that yesterday. You saw a completely different team at halftime yesterday. And to your point, Scott, the wake-up call. I think they come out guns a-blazing, just too much talent. And don't you believe they win this basketball game going away?
I do. 25-point win in that neighborhood. I really do.
Now, what did it open at? And I see right now online it's like 16. What is it? Did it open higher or lower?
Yeah, right now there are some 16.5s out there, but there's also a lot of 16s. This line opened about 14.5 at a lot of books, and that sharp money just came, poured in on USA. And it hasn't been a lot of public money that's moved it. It's been sharp.
3.
The public, except for games like the gold medal game, doesn't really bet the Olympics a lot with any kind of big money. So I like being on the sharp side here. I think USA, they'll win this by more than 20 points.
Could you see a scenario where the spread will creep up to 18 or 19?
It might tomorrow. I mean, you might. I think it won't get to 18. I think there's a good shot we could see 17 and a half with the way that it's moved. But I think if it got to 18, you might start seeing some buyback the other way on France. And at that point, I would still bet USA, guys. So I'm in a situation here where I may lose this game, but my handicap is certainly on USA by more than 20.
Scott, as always, buddy, thank you. Have a great weekend. Talk to you next week.
All right, guys. Good luck. Take care.
You got it. Scott Spreitzer joining us, DocSports.com. You can follow him on Twitter, X, @ScottWins. So right now, U.S. minus 16. Over under is 175.
175. I mean, that's a big number. I mean, talk about blowing out the doors. Maybe it's something along the lines of USA 101 to 85 or something like that. That would be a big number. I love what he said about when he's handicapping preseason game, looking at the backup quarterbacks with experience, going with those guys that have got that experience and have been there and done that when they sit the starters. So the backup quarterbacks get a lot of love from the handicappers in Vegas, Rock. I got to love that.
Yeah, it's,
I was like, okay, I hear you.
Yeah, I just went a little deep on this. I'm playing catch up.
Are you?
Yeah. I won women's today.
Okay.
Yeah, they covered, which was good.
Good.
But as you know, I got destroyed yesterday.
Yeah, you got beat up yesterday, Rock.
I mean, I got beat up like a Sunday football.
Yeah.
You know, for those degenerate gamblers like myself that like to bet football, NFL football on a Sunday, you bet those few couple of games, in the morning, and then depending on how you do, you may chase the second half, and then if you're totally screwed, you're putting a lot of money on that Sunday night game, and then you always got Monday to fall back on too. But for this Olympics, you're just because you're playing with your heart too.
Sure.
NFL is a little bit different to bet. You're actually playing off of matchups. You're playing off of guys that are hurt, not hurt. But here, you're playing with pride. You're betting with pride, I should say.
You're thinking with your heart versus your head.
Yeah, I mean, I thought for sure they were going to beat Serbia by 17.
We all did. I mean, but do I sense some trepidation there, Rocky? You just kind of hesitant, or are you going to get back on that horse?
I already bet it.
Oh, you're good. You're dialed in.
I took them on 16. Okay. I think the same thing. I think it's a wake up call.
Yeah, I think it was too.
And I think they need to prove that what happened yesterday wasn't a fluke.
Yeah.
And that they, because, man, what would the narrative be today across the United States if they would have lost and they're playing for the bronze?
Yeah.
That would have sucked.
Well, you want people to think that was a fluke.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, I don't care what people think. I want the players to think that, hey, they need to show that they should be able to dominate.
I think they will. I think they learned that valuable lesson that they're going to come out just getting after right from the get-go.
God, I hope so. Coming up, Patrick Mahomes forgot to wear his pants at practice. You're going to hear that and what it reminded me of.